Hey there, guys. So as I will sort of touch on at the beginning of this, there wasn't an episode out last week. There was a lot going on at the time, and I'm not, uh, I'm no longer trying to. If I don't get an episode out every week, I apologize, but I'm not going to try and force myself to get an episode out every week because I've got a lot going on right now, and I think it's just sort of healthier for me to try to not try and force episodes out every week because I want to make good. I want to produce, and record great episodes for the listeners. So I don't want to just be trying to put episodes out every single week just because I feel like I have to. I want to enjoy doing this and just sort of doing it every single week. We're sort of getting to a point where I'm like, do I want to keep doing this and all that? So if an episode isn't out every week, that doesn't mean the show's ending or anything. It's just if I don't have the time to record, I don't have the time to record, so I won't try and force myself to get episodes out because I don't really like doing the episodes that were just with me. I didn't enjoy doing that, so I just want you all to know that. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy today's episode because today is the beginning of a two-parter, so I hope you all enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode about the movies with William Fletcher. As per usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and I'm joined, as per usual, by Mr. Harry Jobson.
Good morning.
And so there was not an episode out last week. I apologize for that, and there probably won't. But I've said before that I'm not trying to get episodes out every week now because there's a lot going on. But we got an episode out this week, and this is the first part of a two-parter, so there'll be at least another episode next week, looking at every single Spider-Man film that has been made in anticipation of the release of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That is coming out the beginning of June, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I don't know if Harry's looking forward to that or not.
Oh yeah, definitely. I loved
yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse, so very, very keen. I've
Mm.
seen a bunch of they're releasing a bunch of like clips and trailers from the movie at the moment.
Yeah.
And
I've
yeah, it looks
seen
like it
some of the trailers.
looks very fun. Looks like it's gonna be a
Yeah.
fun movie.
But we will not be talking about Into the Spider-Verse next week. We will be discussing that next week in the second part. So for this part, we're going to be looking at the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films and the Mark Webb Spider-Man films. And then next week will be the Tom Holland Spider-Man films and Into the Spider-Verse. So we'll discuss those next week, and there will be some... Well, I think there's going to be some interesting discussion because I think Harry and I feel very differently about some of these movies. I definitely know we feel different about some of the Tom Holland ones, and I think we feel
Yeah.
different about the Mark Webb ones, maybe?
We might.
We might do. But let's start out with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, and I think, these are films that mean a lot to me. Like, these are, childhood classics. I mean, these are
Oh
films
yeah,
I
they're
grew up watching, and rewatching them, it was great, because it's like I hadn't seen these in a while. I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3. And so rewatching them, it was just like, oh, this is still as good as I remember it being. I didn't rewatch the first Spider-Man with Toby, and I didn't rewatch the first Amazing Spider-Man because I remember those well enough because I remember when I saw them last. But I rewatched Spider-Man 2 and 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 because I couldn't remember the last time I watched them. But I know them well enough. And so, to sort of start off with the Raimi Spider-Man films, I remember I used to watch the shit out of these movies. Like, these were films I watched all the time.
yeah.
And I
Yeah, I
think,
remember. Oh, you can go.
I think people of a certain generation, like a certain age, grew up with these movies, And I think I've seen the occasional video where people are like, "Oh, these movies aren't that good," and I'm like, "No, they really are. You just need to they're actually unironically, I think those are genuinely good films. Like I don't think there's nostalgia or anything clouding my opinion on them. I genuinely think these are great films.
I don't
Well,
think anything
good films at
compares.
least.
Yeah, I don't think anything compares and we have so many new iterations of Spider-Man that
Yeah,
have been
no.
put to TV and film, but there is not a comparison when it comes to the feeling of swinging with Tobey's Spider-Man. Like
Yeah.
Sam Raimi in the Spider-Man movies made you feel like you were swinging as Spider-Man with Spider-Man, and it was
Yeah.
awesome. Don't get me wrong. In the first film, some of the effects, like the bit where
Yeah.
Green Goblin throws the bomb and then they like
They become
skeletons.
skeleton. Oh, that's so
It's the
cheesy, but
most
it's really
it's the
funny though.
most Scooby Doo sort of like.
Yeah, but I
Um,
like that. I like that's
it's
like got
very
it's got a
camp.
charm to it. Yeah, but I really like that.
Yeah, that being said, I remember being a kid. Some of my best memories is whenever we would have any friend over ever. I remember going
You
under the
just show them.
TV, going
Yeah.
under the TV, cracking open the set disc that had 1, 2, and 3 in it, and it was the one
Oh yeah.
case, and it had like the little middle bit that flip flopped over.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, put we would most of the time would skip the first one. Like not skip the first one, but we weren't doing like a Spider-Man marathon. We were just like you guys want to watch Spider-Man? Yeah, and it was always Spider-Man 2 because that is the best Spider-Man.
I mean, that is the best, certainly the best live action Spider-Man. I think you could
Mm.
make a case for Spider-Verse being better, but we'll discuss that next week. But yeah, no, Spider-Man 2. I remember, I because I up until rewatching Spider-Man 2, I thought No Way Home was the best one, but that was just because it was like fresh in my mind, and we'll discuss No Way Home next week.
Plus, the
I
culture
think
around No Way Home was huge, but yeah.
Yeah, but Spider-Man 2, I think, is the best live-action Spider-Man film we have gotten, and I think we will ever get. I really don't think. I mean, we're skipping the first one, but that's just sort of. I think we were talking
Touch
about
on the
last time
yeah.
the Back to the Future trilogy being like one of the best trilogies ever. I think the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy is a really great trilogy of films. Like I know there's lots of people have problems with them. Spider-Man 3 gets a bit of shit, which we'll discuss, but I think it's very unfair how much people hate Spider-Man 3. Like I think that's really stupid. Um but we'll talk about that a bit more later on. But to sort of I guess go to the individual films. Yeah, Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. Yeah, I would have said he's probably my favorite Spider-Man, and then No Way Home happened. I'm like, oh, maybe it's Andrew Garfield. I don't know,
Yeah, there
but
was
I
a lot
think,
of hype around Andrew Garfield coming back because I
but
also love Andrew Garfield. But yeah,
yeah,
Toby.
but I think Toby. I mean, look, I don't mind Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but he just doesn't. It took him a long time for him to feel like Spider-Man to me. He didn't. I don't think
Mm.
he. I think Tobey Maguire feels like Spider-Man. Like from like the first like throughout all the films, he feels like he is Spider-Man. Whereas Tom Holland took a few films to become Spider-Man for me. I know Tobey Maguire's, got into some. He got into some disputes with the filmmakers during the production of the films. He's at the time anyway, he was participating in like illegal poker tournaments, and he seems like a bit of a dick from. Well, he used to anyway, but and we've touched on Tobey Maguire before with Pleasantville, where I think he's really great in Pleasantville, um, and I think he is a really great Spider-Man. I know a lot of people. One thing that I've always hated is people making fun of Tobey Maguire's crying face. It's just like,
It's like,
which is
how attractive are you when you're crying?
exactly.
Oh
Nobody
yeah,
looks sexy when they cry, dude.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'll touch on the first film a little bit and talking about Toby.
Yeah.
There's a few things that often get brought up when discussing Spider-Man, and
Mm.
that's the multiple of the Spideys.
Hmm.
Everyone
Yeah.
always goes, Andrew's the best Spider-Man, Toby's the best Peter Parker, and Tom Holland's the best of both.
Yeah,
I
I hear that a
that
lot.
infuriates me
It
because
is
they
really
so
annoying.
clearly haven't watched the first film, like the first series, in such a long time, and then all they remember is Toby being a really good Peter Parker because he's awkward, nerdy, and like sort of fumbles, but all like
Mhm.
and like yeah, He is a great Peter Parker. He's also quips like a fuck ton. Like everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's not just silent swinging around as Spider-Man. He has a
Yeah.
softer tone than like, hey, hey, hey. Like he does have a softer voice, but he still quips
Yeah.
like all the time. We're not going to talk about Bonesaw. Like in the Bonesaw is ready. Like what do you mean? Maybe he says
That
some
hasn't aged well.
semi-homophobic bits.
Your
But
husband make it for you? Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's dated a bit.
but yeah,
No,
I'ma throw
I
some dirt
think
in your
it
eye.
Oh man, he's got I don't know if it's because the memes have done this, but honestly, Spider-Man 3, I was laughing my fucking ass off while watching. Like I was like, unironically, this is one of the funniest. And I think
Yeah,
that's on
the
purpose.
dig
I
on
think a lot
this.
of people don't get Sam Raimi's kind of humor. Like I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Spider-Man 3 is so dumb," and "Oh, how am I supposed to buy Tobey Maguire as cool?" And I'm like, "You're not. You're not meant to think he's cool.
That's the
He thinks
point.
he's cool,
Yeah.
but you're not meant to because he's obviously a fucking dork."
The whole point
That's the
is that
point.
he can't realize that he's not cool and he's trying to be
Yeah,
cool.
and
The
that's
whole bit where
what
he's like, dig on this. And then like that is the worst, that's the most cringe shit
that
ever.
is oh
But
god,
that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to hate
and
this Toby. Like you're
yeah.
supposed to hate this Peter Parker.
Yeah. Oh, and when he's strutting down the street and he's like throwing out finger guns to all the women, it's like, yeah, that's not meant to be cool. That's meant like because it wouldn't have worked if it was Andrew Garfield. That's the thing. Is I think if they'd done that with Andrew Garfield, it doesn't work as well because it's meant to be cringy. But Andrew Garfield is just way too hot for that to be cringy. Like he can just get away with it, you know.
Yeah, dude.
And I think it works more with Toby. But yeah, to sort of go to the first film, yeah. I really like Toby. You know who I think Kirsten Dunst also gets a lot of unfair shit in these movies. Like I
Oh
really
man,
don't
I
think she's
wanted to
that
marry
bad.
her for the longest time. Like as a kid, thinking I'm Spider-Man, I'm like, man, MJ. And now I still have like some weird this is weird relationship I have with whoever plays the Mary Jane character. But no, I think like Kirsten Dunst I think does what is written for her really well.
That's the thing,
Um
is I think it's the writing, but she does a good job with the writing. And I think that's what it is. I think her and I know a lot of people go on about how great Emma Stone is in the Amazing Spider-Man films, and we'll touch on that. But I don't know. I like Kirsten Dunst. I think she works very well in this role.
yeah.
Her character is very badly written though. I can't like the end of Spider-Man 2 where she just leaves her fucking fiance. Like that's a bit.
That is my favorite scene in all the Spider-Man movies ever. Besides the Spidey swinging together. How dare you? Okay. Firstly, one, she looked gorgeous in that dress. Secondly,
She was a very
her
nice
heart
dress, yeah.
wasn't really in it. She was always in love with Peter, and
Yeah,
like
I
finding
know,
out
but
that
does that
he's Spider-Man.
justify? I get it, but does
Oh,
that
do I feel
justify?
bad for do I feel bad for Jameson? Like
Yeah,
not J.
I
Jonah
feel
Jameson, but
kind of
his
bad.
son.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. Like I know
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't meant to be, but I do feel bad for him. Just gets a note that's just like bye, bitch, and just fucking gets.
yeah,
It's
I feel bad, but like I would rather be with Spider-Man than an astronaut. Like I feel
oh, I
like
mean, yeah, true. To be
if
fair, Spider Man
he
is like
knew
the
that
most
she was
popular
going
guy.
to Spider-Man, and then also the guy that she's had a like, but also simultaneously the guy that she's in love with, like,
Mm.
is it really shitty? Like, it realistically, MJ is a terrible fucking person. Uh,
Yes, she is.
in
She
real life.
is. Yes, she is not a good per. Oh,
But
objectively, she is not. She keeps trying to manipulate Peter, and she keeps doing all these awful things to him. So she's not a nice person. Like,
we'll
but
talk about that when we get to the second
yeah,
movie. But
and
yeah, like
yeah.
yeah, you go. I
I
was
was just
finishing up.
gonna say to sort of touch on, I guess, all the Spider-Man. There's always, you got Spider-Man and the love interest, and I don't know. I don't hate MJ. I think I may prefer Gwen Stacy. and I don't really care for MJ in the Tom Holland films.
No, I don't care
And
for MJ
then
in the Tom Holland films.
and Spider-Verse didn't really have that, which is the thing I like about Spider-Verse. This is sort of that they didn't just automatically put Spider-Gwen and Miles together. Like I like that
They
they
kind
just
of
didn't do
did.
that. They kind of did, but it wasn't like the
No, no,
main
no.
thing.
It was that Miles has like a massive crush on Gwen, but it's
I
like,
mean,
but
can't blame
even
him to be
Gwen
fair.
knows. Yeah.
But
Oh
yeah,
no,
no.
brother, my brother in
But
Christ, you cannot.
I know they'll I know they'll touch on it more in the second one, which I think is fine. I think that's but yeah. I think I prefer Gwen Stacy. I really do. I don't know. I think which is weird because I don't think Emma Stone's an amazing actress, which is interesting because a
Man,
lot of
that was
people
a
love
no,
Emma
no.
Stone.
You got to give her respect. That was a backbreaking role. Um, I I just tend to think
Wasn't it
that
her head though? Didn't she? Isn't it her? Well, I
yeah,
mean, I
I
guess it was
know,
the
but like it
combined.
would have been both.
It would have been
Yeah.
both. Would have definitely fucked her up.
She'll
But I
probably bang
think,
her head against the wall about that role.
yeah,
I
that was
what
that wasn't nearly as good. That was
I know, but like head banging on floor, very hard to make a
yeah,
pun out of.
yeah. But I really like the chemistry though. I think Toby and Kirsten have really great chemistry. And again, as like not again, but like as is per usual, every time there's a Spider-Man and like a love interest, they just get together in real life. Like Toby and Kirsten, they were together. Andrew and Emma were together for a while, and Zendaya and Tom Holland have been together for a bit, which
Couple
just
of
makes
years, yeah.
sense. You know, you're in very close proximity to each other. You know, holding on to him as he goes swinging. You know, like what can you do really? It just makes sense. You know, getting 20-year-olds together to be very close to each other for extended periods of time. You know,
Oh,
it
they're
just makes
horny,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, it just makes
And
sense.
also, they're at the time each one of these films come out, they're like one of the biggest people in the world. Like
Yeah,
Andrew Garfield.
exactly.
Okay, so we'll speak on the first. Toby was this shot Toby into immortalism because Toby was
Yeah,
like, yeah, he was a good actor and he was friends with
yeah.
Leo and he was considered for
He done
roles
yeah
and stuff.
Pleasantville and stuff. You know, which
But
we did an episode on, and he was in stuff. But this was like the big film he did. You know, like this
this
was
immortalized him. He will forever be.
an
You can have a
iconic
million more
actor.
Spider-Man reboots, but everyone will always know Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm just looking at what he'd done before this. He was in a film, Cats and Dogs. That's right, which is a film where cats versus dogs, and Toby was the lead in that. That's a voice role. You know, yeah, he did in Pleasantville, Set of House Rules. You know, he'd been in things, but this Spider-Man was like
breakout, yeah,
what made him a big name. And I think, well, because when the Spider-Man came out, this was like a big deal. Like at the time, it was like one of the highest grossing films ever when it came out. You know, there was marketing. There was marketing that they had to get rid of because there was stuff with the Twin Towers, but 9/11 happened. Like, oh, we should
yeah,
really get rid of that. So there's like great posters and trailers in that you just can't find anymore because it had the Twin Towers, and they're like, yeah, we can't do that. But yeah, Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man is one of the most iconic, certainly comic book characters that we've ever had, and I honestly think one of the most iconic characters, certainly in recent times. Like everybody knows who Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is, and
yeah.
you know
It's
all
like
those
even
rumors of him being in No Way. Sorry, all those rumors of him being in
yeah,
No Way Home in that, and Into the Spider Verse as well. People were just like they were wanting Tobey Maguire in a Spider-Man film again because of how iconic he is and how much he means to a lot of people as well. That's the thing.
yeah,
Toby's Spider-Man means a lot to people. You know, he means a lot to me. You know, those Raimi Spider-Man films were films I watched a lot as a kid, and they mean so much because of what they mean. You know, of how much they
yeah.
impacted me. You know,
And
um,
they don't degrade over time. Like they do get more and
no,
more a bit
not really.
camp.
Like they're
Like and
very
we
campy.
and you do have that sort of like, for example, his high school, like Toby's high school. But motherfucker, like the teacher is younger than half the students.
I
Like,
know.
but but
But he's bald though, so he's obvious. Yeah. Oh, dude, it is crazy though how old. Like, they're all like 25. All these actors are. They're like 25-year olds, and it's like,
yeah, and then you've got the what is it in the second movie after Toby does the greatest scene in Spider-Man history, which is stopping the train. Um,
oh mate, yeah, wonderful scene.
yeah, and he gets like carried back through the subway, through the train car, and then it's like he's just a
Yeah.
kid, no younger than my son, and no older than my son. I'm like, dude, you're like a year older than him. Like they're like the
Also,
same
yeah.
age. The actor
And
and
that
son, they're like,
scene just couldn't happen now because everybody would have their fucking phone out, just being like, "Oh my god, it's we say Spider-Man's face. What the fuck?" You know, you couldn't do that scene now.
yeah, and it's like we won't tell anyone, and then it's like okay, but like Toby doesn't have like a presence anyway. The whole point, no, I mean Peter doesn't have a presence anyway. Oh my god, I'm getting them
Yeah,
mixed up. But like, so even if they were filming like this guy, this is this person, someone online would match the dots. But the whole point about Peter
yeah,
Parker is that he is an unknown nobody anyway.
yeah. He's just a random guy, you know. And I think, yeah, I really do think Toby's really great in these films, though. I really think I know a lot of people because I think Andrew Garfield is the best actor to have played Spider-Man,
Yeah, that's fair.
just like outside of Spider-Man, but I think Toby is the best Spider-Man. You know, I
Yeah,
think,
no, that is basically my opinion as well.
and
I
look,
agree completely.
I don't hate Tom Holland, and I don't hate Andrew Garfield. I don't hate those guys as Spider-Man, but I think it for both those guys, it took a while for them to like truly become those characters. Like it feels like it took a lot for them to. I think because the writing as well in their films, I think the writing in these Raimi films is really great. But yeah, I mean we've talked about Toby a lot. There's so many people in all of these films to talk about. You got James Franco, very
Yeah,
problematic James
I was
Franco.
surprised I didn't see Seth Rogen in this movie. No, yeah, James
um,
Frank. Like, I really like him in these
No,
movies.
I
To
think
be
he's
fair,
really good in these films. I think I'm a lot of the time I'm able to separate art from the artist. Like I'm
yeah,
never one to be like, you know, I watched like The Pianist, which is a Roman Polanski film, and like, yes, he's a terrible person, but The Pianist is a really great film, you know, and I'm capable of
yeah.
doing that, you
I
know.
watched Top Gun Maverick, but it doesn't mean I'm a Scientologist. Like,
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
I can watch Tom Cruise movies and not hate, and you know, I can still disagree with Tom Cruise's, you know,
political ideologies.
yeah,
It's
and exactly, you know, and I'm not bothered by that. You know, I know some people are, and I think that's fine. Like I'm fully okay with people if they want. If they, I don't want to watch a film with this actor or made by this filmmaker. I think that's completely fine. I think that's reasonable, but to be fair, I wouldn't pay money to see like a Roman Polanski film or anything. Like I wouldn't do that because I don't want to support him financially because that just makes me feel bad, you know.
yeah,
But, you know, I think with actors also it's kind of different with actors because they're not really the main. It's not like they made the film; they just played a part in it. You know, like the new
yeah.
Flash film, I'll probably go see, and I know Ezra Miller's a terrible person, but like they are only like one part of that film. You know, there's a lot of other great people around that. You know, not shitty people who have been involved in that film. You know, I think it's a different thing. You know, if it's directed by someone who's a bad person, then that's a different story. You know, but I think with actors it's kind of different. And yeah, I like James Franco just in general. I think he's a very good actor. You know, like 127 Hours, I think he's really good in. The Disaster Artist, he's fantastic in. And I think he's good in these Spider-Man films. I really love how each of these films builds his arc. Like he has his arc across all three films. I think that's really great to
Well,
see.
the third film kind of just gives him amnesia for a while, so they can
Well,
focus
that's
on Venom.
well,
Um,
okay. We'll touch on the third film at some point, but yeah, we'll talk about the third film in a minute. But I think I like that because this is pre MCU and stuff. You know, this is before you had big superhero franchises, and I like that he goes on a character arc across the films. Whether it works or not is sort of a different thing, but I like that there's consistency in the first two, at least. You know, the end of the first one, he sees that, you know, he thinks Spider-Man killed his dad, and then he spent the whole second film wanting revenge, and then the third film he there's problems with the third film, which we will touch on, which we will touch on later on. But I think he's good in
Yeah.
these films. I think regardless of the quality of the writing, I think all the actors across the films do a good job. I think they all
Yeah.
work.
No, I
Right?
agree. I think one of the things that needs to sort of be considered is like I feel like Tom Holland is still quite young in his career. So
Exactly.
whether he goes
He
on
was
to
like
win Oscars or
19 when
not
he
is
started as
like
Spider-Man. That's the thing.
yeah,
Like,
and when you first see him in Civil War, you sort of think like we'll get to him next week, but you
yeah,
do sort of think this is just a kid compared to
yeah,
the other two, which feel more like Spider-Man. Um,
yeah. Like Tobey
but
Maguire, I think was actually I'll figure out how old because I know Tom Holland was 19, I believe, when he did Civil War. Like he was like he was very young when he did that. Toby was about 25, 26 when he did it,
Andrew would have been early 20s.
and I think Andrew Garfield would have been like 28, 29 when he did it. Like Andrew was nearly 30 when he first played Spider-Man, which is
But Andrew is a very young looking guy.
kind of, yeah, when he has the facial hair older, I think. But yeah, no, he
Yeah.
but yeah, Tom Holland was like 19 when he first did Civil War, so he's like an actual kid basically doing that role. Yeah. And then also I cannot overstate how great the villains are in these Raimi films, dude. I think they
Oh yeah,
are.
yeah.
Dude, Willem
There's a reason they
Dafoe.
brought him back for.
Dude, Willem Dafoe is so over the top, but he's so amazing. He is so good in this first Spider-Man film. Like he legitimately is like,
Yeah,
this is like I'm
he
all
is the
for
Green
like
Goblin, and
yeah,
I think that's where
exactly.
Amazing Spider-Man sort of went wrong. But
Mm.
um, but it's like yeah, no, you can't like whether you like his Norman Osborn or not. It's like you can't do this to me. I built this company. It's like
You know how
neither
much I
here
sacrificed? You
sacrifice
know.
is
Yeah.
neither here nor there. I like him as Norman, but I've heard people that say he plays it a bit too chaotically, and I'm like, fair
I think
enough. But I
I
think
think he only
he is
plays it
the
chaotically after
perfect.
he becomes Goblin though. I think before that he's
Yeah,
very reserved and he's a very sympathetic character. I think that's another great thing about a lot of these Spider-Man villains. Across all the films to be fair. I think they create great sympathetic villains. Like
I think
they're all
yeah.
good people who get changed by science. Who get changed by science in that. Well,
No.
most of them. I
Like
think
Norman, I think is a good person. The Green Goblin's pure evil. Doc Ock
exactly.
is the most pure out of all of them. He's genuinely just a good person. Even when he's evil, he's still sort of a good person. Like he's still building the fusion reactor to power the world cleanly. Like he's not. Um,
It's
that being
his
said,
yeah,
like it's the inhibited chip that make like
exactly, yeah, the
gets his
inhibited
ego
chip.
in the way.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, and I
Um.
think then you got Sandman in Spider-Man 3, you know,
Oh yeah,
he's
Sandman's
he's a
awesome.
criminal.
Franco's awesome. Eddie Brock, no, terrible person. Like
Oh
straight
no,
up
yeah,
terrible person.
I did say most of them, yeah, but I think yeah, Eddie Bro. I really like Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3, but we'll get on that in a bit as well. I
Yeah,
like most of these Raimi villains. I think a lot of people, because a lot of people are like, oh, Vulture's so great and Mysterio's so great. I'm like, yeah, they're cool and they're good, but they're not Willem Dafoe or Alfred Molina. Like those are
then
Spider-Man villains, you
they're
know.
not even. Yeah, we'll get into it next week.
Yeah. But yeah, Willem Dafoe, he's just so over the top in this, but it's so funny, and it's like he's just pure evil, and sometimes you just want that as a villain. Like in Puss in Boots 2, right? Jack Horner is a pure evil villain, and it's amazing because he's just evil and he loves being evil, and that's great. I think it's okay
Or the new Guardians movie, which we
Oh
won't
yeah,
spoil.
have you
But
seen the
I
new
did,
Guardians?
yeah, I got a chance to watch it, and I bloody loved it. I thought it was awesome. But yeah, like you've got the what the bloody
It
what,
got the
what
High Evolutionary.
yeah, the High Evolutionary. Sorry, and he is like he's one of the first villains that Marvel have put out in a while, where it's like you don't see a bit of good in him. Like he's genuinely
That
just
is,
like
yeah, he is pure
evil.
evil. Yeah, but I love Norman in these Spider-Man films and in No Way Home as well. I think he's great there as well. And I love, because he's just doing sort of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. There's the normal Norman, and then he can just sort of turn and snap. And I love the scenes where he's like talking to his alter ego in like the mirror.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, that's the best.
that is such a well crafted scene where he's just like walking to the mirror and he's just talking to himself. And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, it's so good. And I know it's kind of silly, but when he's talking to the mask, like I love that. That's really funny. That's really
Yeah.
stupid, but like it's so cool, dude. And I love that these films embrace being comic book films. I know like, because Sam Raimi is obviously a massive comic book fan in general, but a massive Spider-Man fan. Um, which is again, I mean, we haven't really talked about Sam Raimi in these films, but I think he is fun. He's a great director, and I think he did a lot of great stuff with these Spider-Man films because he's a big comic guy. He grew up
Yeah.
reading comics. I imagine he probably read a lot of like Spider. Like I imagine he read Spider-Man comics when they were coming out. I think he's like around that age where Spider-Man was first introduced.
Yeah, for
And I've
sure.
read a
I
lot
think
of those classic Spider-Man comics, and I think they're really solid from my memory of those. Like they're really,
yeah.
um, yeah. 1962 was when Spider-Man was first created, and I'm seeing how old Sam Raimi was. Sam Raimi was born a few years before that, 1959. So he's of
Yeah.
the age of Spider-Man. So, but yeah, I really love these films. Like, I really just love these movies, dude. I can't pretend I don't. Like, I don't care. Like, these are wonderful films, and they are better than these. Like the best Spider-Man films,
Yeah,
like
yeah, and I
excluding
agree.
Spider-Verse, arguably. But we'll touch on that.
Spider
In
Verse.
terms of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
live action Spider-Man films, these are like the peak of it. Like, I know, like. I I know that people I think if you don't grow up with these though, that's actually an interesting question. Do you think if people who didn't grow up with these films watch them now, do you think they would like them as much? Like, do you think this is something you need to see as a child to love? Or do you think it works
No.
regardless?
I think people might have a bit of a go at the campiness of it, but other than that,
Yeah.
um, like my older brother, for example, he was never a huge Spider-Man fan. Like he just
Mm-hmm.
never really cared about superhero movies and was more sports
Alright, yeah.
orientated, which I was too. But I just loved Spider-Man. Like,
Yeah, no.
well, I watched him with him a couple of years ago. It was like a rainy day when we were both living at home. I was like, I could put on
Yeah.
Spider-Man movies, and he obviously had seen them growing up, but he was never like, oh my god, it's my favorite movie. Like, and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, he still like loves them.
And how
But
old
I
was he
mean,
at the time?
when we were
Like,
rewatching them,
yeah.
we were like 17, 18. Like, it's
Oh,
nothing.
yes, I think that's reasonable, yeah.
Yeah,
That's still
like
like a young kid
you've got
watching
to
it, yeah.
develop. Yeah, no, and I mean, depends on what you take. My nephew, for example, he's 5, so
Yeah.
he was born in what 2017, 2018. Um,
2018, yeah.
yeah,
2017, 2018, depending on if he's turning 6 this year or not.
nah,
Like,
he would have been born 2018.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, he would have like then he would have he's loved Spider Man, and he
Mhm.
only ever wants to watch the Tobey Maguire Spider Man movies. Like
Has he
that's it.
seen
So like
has he seen the other ones?
yeah, but he likes the
Oh,
Tobey
okay.
Maguire one.
So
Like
he has
they're the
seen the
ones
other
there.
ones. He just is like, "No." I mean, to be fair, I definitely think I would definitely prefer the Toby films. I feel like, well, I was a for the Amazing Spider-Man films, I was like a young kid when they came out, but I didn't see them in theaters. Like I did not see
Yeah,
them when they came out. I saw them when they came out on DVD and that. So I didn't go see them. I think yeah, we'll touch on the Amazing Spider-Man films soon-ish. Um, but that's interesting because I feel like some people who there are certain films that you kind of need to see at a certain age or you won't love them. I feel like I really like Goonies, but that's a film I saw as a kid, and I don't think I would like it as much now. I probably won't like it as much if I when I rewatch it anyway. I know people who didn't see the Indiana Jones films as a kid and they don't like them, um,
I
which
think
is
it's
interesting.
a lot. It's a lot of Adam Sandler movies. I'd say, like
I
if you
think
didn't watch
yeah,
Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, whatever, growing up, if that wasn't
yeah,
something that was in your house, you'll look at them and think they're stupid comedies. Like you, oh, I just think it's there's this weird culture around things that
yeah,
might be a bit more like fantastical or let's say a bit more sort of out there, whether it's wacky or camp, or
yeah, or
even in the
maybe
second
more
Spider-Man
kid
movie where it's just
orientated.
straight up horror.
Yeah,
Um, like that people will go, "Oh, that's stupid. I'm an adult. I shouldn't be watching that." And it's like,
yeah. I
no,
hate those kinds of people. Those
why do
people
I have
fucking suck, dude.
it's like, why do I only have to watch the fucking Lighthouse? Like, don't get me wrong, I like the Lighthouse, but like, why do I have to watch
Yeah,
these A24 or Oscar like fucking movies? Why can't I
yeah.
watch Spider Man? Why can't I
That's the
watch
thing.
Goonies? Why can't I watch like I think people need to start like,
I
especially
think
now, people
we
need to
should
start.
like
Yeah,
it should be normalized that you can watch like movies that are not necessarily intended for like I know a lot of people who and a lot of like certainly Oscar voters and that kind of thing and older people don't watch animated films because they're for kids. And I'm like, that's fucking bullshit, dude. Like Puss in Boots 2 is for kids. Like a kid can watch it, but dude, I think an adult can get a lot more out of Puss in Boots 2 than a kid can because of like the themes it's dealing with morality and all that shit, dude, you know? I think
and that's like saying Spider Man Into the Spider Verse is for kids, which it
oh,
definitely
that's so
fucking is.
dumb. Like, I mean, it is like again, animated. A lot of animated films kids can watch and kids can enjoy, but it's like you can get a lot out of animated films as in like the older I'm getting, the more I'm getting out of animated films, like Pixar especially. Like Pixar films are getting to me more emotionally, like the older I get, and I
Yeah,
think
my comfort movies like Monsters Inc. Like what,
yeah,
like yeah, and to call the work of DreamWorks, which I think is better than Pixar, but we don't
oh,
like
oh, okay,
Dream
interesting.
because you just say How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, Madagascar, yeah, kind of. Um,
Madagascar, yeah, that's very much for
but
kids.
but to say that those sort of like movies, Road to El Dorado, stuff like
Prince of
that they're
Egypt,
yeah, print yeah. To say that they're or even their newer sort of what's newer like Shrek. Shrek
yeah, the
is like,
Shrek
yeah,
films,
it's for kids, but like it's also for adults. Like it's Mike Myers,
yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
um
Plus, adults, there's a lot of stuff you can get out of something like Kung Fu Panda. There's a lot of like philosophical
yeah, they're
meaning you can get from that.
beautiful movies. And to
Yeah,
say that they're for kids, they're kids movies is so
yeah.
disrespectful.
I also think
Like,
Jim Carrey films, a lot of his comedies fall under that as well.
oh
Like,
yeah.
and I think to be fair, some of them you do kind of need to watch when you're younger to truly love. I feel like, but I feel like a lot of Jim Carrey's like Liar Liar, I think is a really great film. I really
I
enjoyed that,
love Liar
and
Liar.
I watched that when I was like 18. So I don't, I think but I think these Raimi films, I do think it could possibly depend on when you see them. I do also it also could depend on if you like the genre, if you like superheroes
Yeah.
at all. And I
Yeah.
think because I know people who just write off superhero films and they hate them. And they just watch them and they're like, oh, they're so artless and they're so and I'm like, then why the fuck are you still watching them, dude? Like I don't see the point of forcing yourself to watch films that you know you're not gonna like, you know? Like Karsten Runquist, hates them, but he still watches them, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like, like, it's fine if you don't like them, but don't fucking watch them then. It's not hard. There's not that many of them. Like DC is putting out like a few a year, Marvel's putting out a few a year, and that's it. Like you
Yeah.
can just not watch them. Um Sorry, I'm
Yeah, no.
getting very annoyed because
Yeah, no, we've gotten we've moved into, like, a much wider sort of thought, um,
but
but
I just
yeah.
hate people who sort of write off superhero movies as being like they're not saying anything. And I'm like, I think these Spider-Man films, these Raimi ones at least, I think they really are saying something. Like,
Yeah,
and there's a
and
lot of great emotion to them as well. Like,
to say that about these Spider-Man films, these Sam Raimi, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, to say that, oh, they're a superhero movie, it's like that doesn't do it justice. There is no Avengers, there's no Iron Man, there's no X-Men, there's no none of it without these movies. And not what we know. There's no MCU, there's no Endgame, there's no massive
yeah,
fanfare
exactly,
service, people crying in theaters. Like millions, billions of memories made in people's heads about,
exactly.
like, association to these characters.
And that's
There's
the thing.
none of that without Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi, and this
Mhm.
trilogy.
Yeah,
Whether you agree or disagree doesn't matter. Like, it is a fact. It
yeah.
started superhero movies. Whether or not something else would
Yeah, the
have,
superhero boom of the 2000s.
but
It really, yeah.
this is it. This is Marvel's Lion King. This is their renaissance. This is yeah.
That's a good, yeah, fair point. And I think, and to be fair, some people will be like, "Oh, it helped launch the MCU," and I'm like, "Yeah, who cares?" Like, I think people, I think that it's okay to like superhero films. I think it is fair. I don't think less of people for certain films they like or dislike, and I don't think more of people. Like, if someone's like, "Oh, my favorite film's like The Godfather," I'm like, "Cool, you just got those boring tastes." Then, like, The Godfather. I mean, I don't really like The Godfather personally. Um, but if
It's a
someone says
bit long.
but if someone says that's their favorite film, I'm like, well, that's just what everyone says, and that's boring. And this is a thing I want to make. I always appreciate when someone like they love a film that isn't like univ like you love these
That
Raimi
isn't cookie
films.
cutter, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, I know people who would give like Spider-Man 2 like a 10 out of 10, and I'm like, I respect that because you don't see that. I think a lot of people like it, but I don't think many people love it as they should. And we have not really talked about the film that much anymore. This has just gone on a complete tangent.
But
Some
okay,
of
so
it make it,
the
but
first film.
yeah, the first film. Also, I just want to throw out another cast member I love, J.K. fucking Simmons as J. Jonah
Oh
Jameson.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe the best casting of a comic book character. Like, is that too hyperbolic to say that he is the best cast?
No,
I
no, I
really
don't.
think,
I genuinely think he was born to play that role. I think
yeah,
Willem Dafoe could do a really good Joker, but
yeah.
I
To be fair,
think
Hugh
yeah,
Jackman is Wolverine as well. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine
yeah,
is
I think Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Like, I don't think there's
yeah,
another person that could play Deadpool as good as
yeah.
Ryan Reynolds does.
But I mean,
Um,
J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. He is dude. He's got so many just amazing lines in these movies. Is that I'm wondering like how much of that was improv? Because a lot of it just feels like he's just like riffing lines, like he's just saying stuff.
yeah.
I resent that when it's written. It's slander or whatever. Like what's that line where he's talking about slander and libel? He's like there's a different.
Oh yeah, I know what you're
Yeah, when it's
talking
like
about.
it's written, it's libel, and it's spoken, it's slander or something like that. Let me.
Yeah. Oh, if it's spoken, it's slander. If it's written, it's defamatory or something.
Yeah, it says, I resent that. Slander is spoken. In print, it's libel.
Yeah.
It's just such a great line. He's like, see, it's. I just, yeah,
Yeah.
just that nice little subversion of like, oh, he's like, oh, it's not slander. And they're like, no, it's different. It's libel, actually. I love that. I love. I just really love the cast in these films. I think the extras in these films are really funny. You just get people in the background just doing weird shit. Like just shit just keeps on happening. It's like this is cinema. You know, I love that it's not ponderously slow. I love that it's just getting to the point cuz I often I say this a lot and it shouldn't be controversial, but for some reason it kind of is. I don't really like slow movies, and I think a lot of people confuse slow movies with slow burns. Like I like
Yeah,
slow burn films. I don't like movies that are just arbitrarily slow. Something like Dune, right? Is very
yeah.
slow, and I was very bored while watching it. And people are like, "Oh, it's purposely so," and I'm like,
Why
"Is it
though?
though? Like, why is it though?"
Yeah,
I
it's like yeah. Oh, that's actually a really good example. Why is Dune? Why does Dune feel slow, but Lord of the Rings doesn't? Like, even though
That
Lord
is
of the
true. From
Rings
my
is
memory, Lord
really
of the Rings
long,
moves fast. Yeah,
Lord of the Rings is long, but what it does is so. I want to talk about the first Spider-Man movie
yeah,
and the why it's such a great origin story for Spider-Man, for Peter Parker.
yeah,
Within the first 10 minutes of the film, we see Peter, Aunt May, Ben, three titular characters. We see his
yeah.
relationship with Harry, Harry's relationship with his
We
dad.
meet we
We
meet
see
Norman. Norman is
yeah,
he's right at
yeah,
the
yeah,
beginning
yeah.
with Harry. Yeah.
Yeah, we see Harry, like Harry's relationship with Norman. We
Hmm.
see Norman's values, which plays into his character. We
Yeah.
see how Peter is treated. We see the fact that he's in love with MJ, and he gets bitten by the spider in the first 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah. I think that's a great, like, I don't know. I wouldn't say that we talked about with Back to the Future, like that is like the perfect screenplay, basically. And I think Back to the Future is a film that you could like use at a film school to teach how to write. But I think if you like, 'cause I think with origin stories, a lot of origin stories take a long time to get to them like becoming the hero and getting their powers or whatever.
Yeah,
And but this one, it's so quick. We meet every major character we need. We meet Peter, yeah, as you mentioned, Peter, Harry, MJ, Aunt May, Ben, Norman, Flash. You know, we meet all these characters that we need for the story. Peter gets bitten, and that's all you need. You do not need anything else to establish Spider-Man. You know, he gets bitten by the spider very early on, so we have most of the film with him as Spider-Man with these powers, and I think that's a
because
great way to do an origin story.
in comparison to some other Spider-Man origin stories, which take 3 films, but we won't get into that. Um, like the origin story here is that like he learns what the whole point of the first film is. It's Peter dealing with how to both be Peter and Spider-Man. But not once does Peter do something as Peter or as Spider-Man that doesn't adversely affect the other. And that's the whole point of the first one. He's on a vengeance thing. Like, but as
Yeah,
Peter,
exactly.
he leaves the elevator open to let the robber out.
Exactly, yeah.
And
And then
as
that
Peter, Ben
snowballed into a
dies.
whole thing, yeah.
And then we obviously like we could talk about how like significant the whole with great power comes great responsibility whole thing that
Yeah.
like everyone knows. Um like and then we see Peter it's just we see Peter then like that affects who he becomes as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Whether it does turn him into this like crime fighting like vigilante, but
Yeah.
it also creates a more bitter, like vengeful Spider-Man. And it's seen in
Mhm.
the Amazing Spider-Man. I think does it a bit more dark than this one does. But
Yeah.
like and then we follow Peter while he's still just not quite Spider-Maning yet. And then he kills the
Yeah.
guy who he thought killed his father, he thought killed Uncle Ben, sorry.
Uncle Ben, yeah.
And after that, he that action he does as Peter, because he does this all up until that point, he's Peter with Spider-Man's powers. And
Yeah.
it's at that point that he becomes sort of Spider-Man, where he's like, all right, this is how I feel about what I've done. These are the ramifications. Like, and then he
Yeah.
becomes Spider-Man, and then we get to see the whole Spider-Man Green Goblin Google Gaga, the best fucking fight ever.
Oh
Spider-Man
yeah, dude.
upside down kiss MJ. Like we get to see the
That's sorry.
perfect.
Can we just touch on that for a minute? The upside down kiss for a
It's
second.
weird, dude. It's
It's
a weird
very
kiss.
weird. I think like I that's such a weird. That's so weird. I think that's such a weird moment. And I get that it's meant to be this nice but it's just so weird and like I just I don't know. I mean, we'll touch on this a bit later, but I'm interested to see like which of like sort of the main relationships between like Peter and his love interest you like the most because I don't know. I think I have a favorite, but I'm not sure yet. But I think it's definitely not Tom Holland and Zendaya. Like that's just
Yeah, no,
fucking
they're
nothing. Who
hit.
gives a fuck about that? I think I don't. I think most people would think it's. Honest, I think most people say it's Gwen Stacy and Peter in the Amazing Spider-Man films is like the best sort of romance, sort of between the three films.
No,
And I
but I think that's only because we get to see them act as more of a young couple, like within the film, than we do in.
they
So
spend more of the like it takes two films for Peter and MJ to get together.
also, real quickly, I know we're going to touch on it in in a little bit when we touch on the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but
Yeah.
her fucking dad was like, "Don't date her, leave her alone." That was his dying wish, and then he's just like, "But I want to get my dick wet." Like, fuck, like, oh my god, dude. Like, I understand it's hard because you love her and she loves you, but like, brother in Christ,
Oh Jesus Christ.
because her dad was right. Like, her dad was like,
To be fair, yeah, the dad was very much right. He very much was in the right when he said that.
I fucking, oh my god, I just, yep.
Um,
You know what? I
yeah,
prefer Toby and Kirsten.
okay. But yeah, the upside down kiss really fucking weird. I think this first film, I think the action and I mean the train fight is like maybe the best Spider-Man action sequence that has ever been crafted in a film. But I think there's a lot of
Yeah,
great action in this first film. I love the stuff on the bridge at the end of the film where Peter's holding like the cart full of children and he's holding like and then he's holding on to like MJ or something. Like, it's like MJ's
yeah,
holding on
the
to him. I
bridge.
think that is just the effects are very dated. I will admit a lot of some of the effects are a bit like oh that was its age.
It's very
But I do
2002, but
yeah, but I think the stuff with Spider-Man swinging, especially at the end, is just phenomenal. Like I think it looks really great. I really love that the effects of him swinging. Which the way they did that was they would just get like a camera really high and basically just like drop it, and then they
mm,
just CGI Spider-Man over that, which seems like the sort of easiest way to do that. You just get the shots and then animate Spider-Man around that.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I really love this first film. I do really like also one thing I really like about this is that Spider-Man never like besides the guy who killed his who he thinks killed Uncle Ben, he never kills people. And I think that's
yeah,
really good. Um I think certain other characters and like Zack Snyder with Superman and with Batman and Batman as
yeah,
well. I love that Spider-Man doesn't kill. I don't know if I've said this before, but I think Spider-Man is my favorite superhero just in anything. I think he might be
yeah.
my favorite.
He's my favorite superhero.
I
I don't
mean,
have like,
he's one of the most he's probably the most relatable superhero, like cuz he's just a kid and
yeah,
I think he really works. And I just love that he does not kill. Like in any of the Raimi films, he never kills them. He either like in this first film, he flips over the glider, so he doesn't kill
yeah,
Norman. You know, Doc Ock sacrifices himself. Sandman does not die. Sandman just fucking gets Thanos and just floats away. And then Eddie, he throws the bomb in to destroy the symbiote, and Eddie jumps in and dies then, and Harry sacrifices himself. So he never kills any of the villains. I don't think that's the same with Electro and Amazing Spider-Man 2. I feel like they actually kind of kill him.
Yeah,
And does Tom Holland kill any of them? And he doesn't kill Mysterio,
he
but
almost kills Norman, but like,
yeah, but then Toby's like, "Nah, bro, I can't do that,"
yeah,
which
which
is
is a
great.
great moment.
I love that moment. Yeah,
But Tom, like, I no, but then again, they're not his villains. They are in the third one, but
yeah,
like even in the third one, they're not really his villains. They're other Spider-Man's villains, which we'll get into when
yeah,
we get to the films.
yeah. Well,
But
yeah. But yeah, no, this first Spider-Man film, I love it. I think it's really good. Yeah, I just love how unabashedly campy it is. Like, it is just a comic book come to life. And I love that. I think that's really cool. I wish more superhero movies did that. Because I feel like a lot of them are like, oh, we have to, like, James Gunn's Suicide Squad was like a comic book come to life. And I love that, you know, I love that film. And I
yeah,
love that it is unabashedly a comic book. And I wish more superhero films did that. But I love this first Raimi film. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful film.
yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
I
And
I,
then, yeah,
I don't. Very difficult to do a better origin. I can
I
think
think
of
it's
one.
probably the best origin film for anyone. And I
No,
think, I'm really trying to think. I don't think any of the Batman origin films are that good. I
it
don't.
is. Besides Into the Spider Verse, it is the best origin film for a superhero.
Yeah, Spider-Verse. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, the
I
first
don't
Iron
think.
Man's pretty good.
I think the first Iron Man's pretty good. But that's one of. Maybe the first Guardians, possibly? I don't know.
It's kind
But
of
so
harder because it's like an
it's
ensemble.
it's an ensemble, yeah. But yeah, then we move on to Spider-Man 2. This is like unironically one of my favorite films of all time. I love it. It's in my personal top 100 favorite films because it is so fucking good.
It
Like
is
we've
my
already sort of touched on bits of it.
on my list. It is my second favorite film of all time.
Oh shit. Oh, behind Truman Show, yeah.
It
Which
goes
we did a
Truman
whole
Show,
episode
Spider
on.
Man 2. Oh.
That's a see that's interesting. That is an interesting top 2 that I appreciate. Because it's not like because people love the Truman Show, but I don't think I've ever met someone who'd be like, "This is one of my favorite films of all time." But yeah, I love Spider-Man
Yeah,
2. I think it is like easily one of the best superhero films ever made. We've already touched on bits of it, but yeah, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, dude, those moments with him and Toby in No Way Home
they
just were
have
like,
incredibly good chemistry.
yeah, their scenes together. And I rewatched that scene again recently of Toby and Alfred Molina together, and I was just like, "Oh, this is so good, dude!" And I was just like getting emotional. Like this is so beautiful. Like I know a lot of people who shit all over No Way Home, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, okay? Fan
Oh,
service is great, okay? That I think fan service is okay. You know, I think that's allowed.
people who shit on the movie have no soul. I understand. I understand shitting on it. Like I
As a
do have my
writing,
issues. I have
it's
my
not well written. I
I
like
have my
it's got
issues
problems
with
with the
it.
writing.
I have
Yeah,
my issues with it, but it is the only film to date to make me genuinely tear up from joy. Like actually
yeah,
like
no,
tear up from happiness
yeah.
in a cinema. Like um Guardians, the newest Guardians movie almost made me cry. Like adult like cry. If it wasn't the fact that I
But
was in a cinema, I probably
that
would
was
have.
more sadness though, right? Like
Yeah, but I mean like to make me tear up in a cinema, you've
mm,
got to do something really special. And
I've gotten the older I'm getting, the more emotional I'm getting about movies and TV. I do real I just yeah, I mean, I know No Way Home's next week, but I just cannot get over how amazing it was to me and how like just how great of it is. Like and a lot of that is because I love these Raimi films. Like Spider-Man 2, yeah, is a wonderful film. You know,
yeah,
I mean, yeah. Oh, dude, probably maybe my I think maybe my favorite scene in maybe any Spider-Man film, certainly in the Raimi films, is the horror scene we get where there's all those surgeons, they're trying to cut the arms of
Oh,
Doc Ock, and they all come to life and they just start fucking murdering them. Like that might be one of the best scenes in a comic book film, honestly. I fucking love that scene. It is so amazing how well it is put together. It is legitimately, it's really quite scary, actually. Like, for what it is, for like a
it is
PG film,
terrifying.
it is horrific.
Like
I
the
lo-
lady with the nails. Oh,
Oh, that makes me cringe so much because I'm very sensitive to sounds like that, like chalk on a chalkboard, or
yeah,
sometimes when like with my family they're eating dinner, they like scrape their like knife or fork across like the plate. I'm like, oh
yeah.
fuck, dude, just makes me shrivel up. Oh, it's so good. And I do want to say I couldn't be bothered to get out my DVD of Spider-Man 2, so I found an online version which is Spider-Man 2.1. So the film's there's like extra scenes in there, and certain scenes have like different cuts used, but it's like the same film basically. And I definitely prefer the original cut, but I still think it's a great film. But yeah, that horror scene is
Yeah.
so good. Like you get like there's like those four boxes of like their arms, like their perspectives, and it's just like they all just like dive in on that guy's face, and he just like fall. It's just like that's
Oh yeah, it's real Sam Raimi. He really ramped it up with this one.
yeah,
But
it
yeah, I
feels like yeah, it's great. I love
the
it.
the reason the I'm just gonna dive into it. The reason that this is top 3 film all time for me is
Yeah,
how much it kicks Peter in the balls.
oh,
I
he
think
gets
this
so
movie
much shit in this film,
in
dude.
the
It's
span of like
insane.
in a span of a 5-minute scene, he not only does he have to take a photo of the moment where his life is at his lowest, oh my god, so he has to go to this event who
Hmm.
so he works for a man that constantly destroys his character, like publicly, and he has to
Yeah,
take the photos to do that. So he literally has to be able to live as Peter, he has to shit on himself as Spider-Man. He then
yeah,
has to he has to abuse himself. He then has to go to an event as like a basically like a personal fucking assistant to this guy, or as a photographer
hmm
to this
as
event.
a yeah.
To then and then the event is the fact that the love of his life, who he cannot be with because of Spider-Man, is
And
marrying J. Jonah Jameson's son, and he has to take a photo of the moment. And then when he talks to Kirsten about it, well, MJ about it, then they have this like fucking thing, and she's just like, "You're just not there. You're an empty seat." Blah blah blah. Um, and it's just like he just got hit in the dick continuously for a really
Yeah,
long
and then he
time.
loses his powers as well, which is he loses
Yeah,
his
he loses
powers.
his powers because of it, um, which is like a really good almost symbolism of depression. I think it
Mhm.
like he just yeah,
Yeah.
and
See,
you see
comic
that
books can say something, people.
and
See?
he is
Fucking
happy. You
idiots.
can
Yeah,
see
no.
that he's happier as Peter too. Like
Oh,
he's happier
he's
just
so
being Peter.
I love that bit where I love the raindrops keep falling on my head like montage where he's just going about his life.
Yeah.
I love that scene so much. And then when he gets the hot dog and he sees and he like takes a massive bite and just fucking walks the other way because he doesn't have to do it. It's like, oh dude, that's so funny. It's great. I love yeah, this film just really is so great. There's so many and I love that we spend a lot of time with Peter like not a Spider-Man, you know, I love the. We haven't even touched on it. The score, like the music, like the musical score, like like the Spider-Man
Yeah.
theme, is maybe the. I think honestly, this may be
Is it
across all
Danny
three films.
Elfman?
Danny Elfman did, I think, the first two, but he fell out with Sam
Yeah.
Raimi, and they got a different guy in for the third one who I can't remember. But I think this may be the best superhero music ever composed. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, no, that's fair. I think yeah, it is so grandiose and so but fitting as well. Like it never feels out of place. I think it's perfect.
yeah, like
Everything
I
about this
love
film.
the. Yeah, no,
This
sorry, you
film
continue.
is the greatest superhero movie ever made. Whether you want it
Mhm.
like that's Endgame, Infinity War.
Dark Knight.
That's Dark Knight. Yeah, that's whatever you want to say Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie is. It's definitely not a superhero movie though.
No,
Like
Walkie,
it
that
is,
doesn't count at all.
like it is so, it's so perfect. Like I
Mhm,
genuinely don't have an issue with anything in this film. There is not one bit of the film where I think could have been done better. I like
mhm.
the oh my god, the whole bit where they're in the cafe and he turns around and like catches the car. Oh my
Oh,
like
dude, I
oh
love that. That's
dude.
a beautiful, lovely slow motion shot where he's just diving and they're just like rotating in midair, and then there's the car behind them. Oh,
What
it's
the
beautifully
bit
done.
where it like zooms in on the eye and then zooms out of like where like Doc Ock has Aunt May and he's up the
Yeah,
building.
as the car's coming through, I just
Yeah.
love it. It's so good, dude. I just love how these films like feel like they've got such a unique style to them. Like they are Sam Raimi films, dude. Like they are
Yeah.
so wonderfully, they are so clearly his films. And I think a lot of people hated like Multiverse of Madness because it wasn't a Sam Raimi film, which it totally was, by the way. Like it completely and utterly was a Sam Raimi film. But these Spider-Man films are Sam Raimi films, you know. They're very reserved. They're not like Evil Dead, like, you know, because those
Yeah.
Evil Dead films are mental, but they still feel like Sam Raimi films, you know. And I really really love I just love these movies, dude. The train sequence is like maybe the greatest superhero action sequence that has ever been put to screen.
And they
Like I
tried to
really
do that with in Homecoming with the cruise ship, but it just wasn't the same.
yeah, no, that's fucking that is not even comparable.
Oh,
And
and
there's that bit in Homecoming where like Peter's like using his webs to pull the boat together, and then Iron Man comes in and fucking
yeah.
helps him. But in this one, Peter is just I just love that moment
He
where he's
doesn't
just standing on
yeah.
the edge of the train and he's just shooting all those webs. I know people like to make fun of how Toby like the faces he makes, but I'm like, dude, I think most people would look similar to that if you're
Worse.
trying to stop a fucking train. Like trains
Yeah,
move
you're stopping a train going at full speed.
exactly
Like
full speed. You and he's just having like and he just I just love that moment where he
I
just is
can't
just
even
shooting.
stop the train in GTA. Like
Exactly. They know that nothing can stop the train. Like no matter what you do in GTA, you cannot stop the fucking train. And I just love that moment, dude, where he's just like doing,
yeah.
there's that wonderful moment where
Yeah.
they're lifting him across, very Jesus esque, might I add,
We
where they're like carrying
oh
him.
yeah.
But
Because
it's
he's
so
literally
good,
spread out
dude.
like not even just that, but the whole we haven't touched on it, but the I guess the decision to make Peter have organic web shooters. I
I think that's really
I
good.
love it.
I think that's
I
a good
really
idea
like it. Yeah.
because it's
I
like he has every other power of a spider, except he can't produce webs. Like and also I think it makes more sense because it gets around the issue of like how can a teenager with like no money, no job, no nothing make
build
these
web
really
shooters.
elaborate web shooters? You know, like in the Tom Holland films, it makes sense because he, you know,
He gets
is given
funded by fucking
Tony
like
Stark, yeah.
yeah,
But
Tom
with
Holland
Andrew
is not
Garfield,
poor in the yeah.
yeah, but with Andrew Garfield, it's like how the fuck do you do this?
Oh well, to be
Um,
fair, Andrew Garfield's like I think Andrew Garfield's the smartest Spider-Man.
he's definitely shown to be the smartest.
He's so like
Because
I
we
could
know
fully
they're all
believe that.
smart, but
Yeah, I
Andrew,
know,
yeah,
but
we see a
I think
lot of
Andrew
his.
like Andrew, um, I think is the most believable to be able to make his own web shooters without like ulterior like outside help. Like because the Oscorp,
Yeah.
like he's a genius, like blah blah. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, Spider-Man 2. Just love Spider-Man 2, dude. I don't know. I feel like we've touched on a lot of stuff about it before anyway that's sort of relevant to the first one. Like I cannot get over how important a film is to me. Like it really is a film that I have a lot of love for, you know. And I have those, you know, few films where they mean a lot to me. But I really think it's still a great film. I don't think no matter like how, you know, it's nearly 20 years old. Like next year it will be 20 years old, and that is insane that this film has been out for 20 years, but it is just
Yeah.
it's great. It's a great movie. I love it. It's definitely the best live action Spider-Man film. I think I prefer Spider-Verse personally, but Spider-Man 2 is certainly the best live action Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think it is like one of the best superhero films ever made.
Yeah, I
Like,
think the option to have Doc Ock sacrifice himself,
oh,
like
that's
it
again, that's
is
so
just a
great.
beautiful movie. I love this movie. No, but every bit of this film, like
Yeah,
it is so perfect. Every character choice, the ability to have Peter Parker not get into a big fist fight with Doc Ock, but just be like
yeah,
yeah, like Doctor, like Otto. I know you're in there. Like have him talk through it with like that's yeah, I don't know. I'm usually lost. It's hard to put into words because it is so perfect. It's almost difficult to talk about because
yeah,
there's like a million thoughts, but and we have to move
exactly.
quickly.
Yeah,
So what I'll do is I'll just give my rating. I think it's
yeah.
I don't think there's a rating that is suitable. It's a 100 out of 10. Like I genuinely, it is my, it is. It depends on the day. Sometimes it could be my favorite movie of all time. Like
Mm,
it just depends. But yeah,
yeah.
I
I just
think
want to,
High Top
yeah.
Alex on YouTube, High Top Films does a pretty good job of explaining why it is so good. Although he leaves out
Mm-hmm,
some things and he mentions some things that I don't agree with. Like, and he is very passionate about the character. But yeah,
mm-hmm.
I think if you have a chance to go watch his videos on it, they're a bit long, but definitely do because
I
he
just
can
looked it up,
go
and
much more in depth.
I just searched up Spider-Man, and there's Spider-Man PS4 is a perfect Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man 2, the perfect superhero movie. No Way Home kind of fixed the MCU Spider-Man film. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he does not
Homecoming
like
is a
the
bad
MCU Spider-Man movie.
Homecoming is a bad Spider-Man movie.
I've
Perfect.
done my research too. I'm not
Yeah,
just
no.
spewing the words of a video I've watched. Like I've
Yeah,
done it to
no.
formulate my own opinion because there are things that he says that I don't agree with, and there are things that he says that I do. But I think he
Yeah,
does a
no.
really good job of summing up the second movie.
Yeah, I think someone made a response to High Top Films. How not to criticize Far From Home, a response to High Top Films. Alright.
Oh no! All I'm saying, High Top Films is completely valid in his criticism of Far From Home. Far From Home is a terrible fucking movie, let alone Spider-Man movie.
Well,
Genuinely, like,
we will discuss this more next week, but because I've not seen
yeah,
Far From Home since it came out in the cinema. So I will rewatch the film and then I'll watch that video because I don't want to have that video cloud my feelings. I just want to say
yeah,
before we move on to Spider-Man 3, I love the mechanical arms and how they're just puppets. I fucking
yeah.
love that. That's so
They're not
good. I
CG. That's really
Yeah,
important.
there's
Yeah,
CG occasionally, but a lot of it is just puppets, and I love it. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, best live action Spider-Man film, bar none. It doesn't matter what you say, because you are just wrong. You are just wrong if you say otherwise. If you say Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man film, I probably agree with you. That's fairly valid. But in terms of live action, nothing is as good as Spider-Man 2. Simple as that. And then we move on to Spider-Man 3, the one everybody hates, and the one that people don't get. I really cannot overstate how many people don't get this fucking movie, and it's really annoying. Like it is so frustrating how many people do not get Spider-Man 3 because I
mm,
like Spider-Man 3. I do not think it is terrible. It's definitely the weakest of the trilogy and there's a lot I do not like about it, but it is still a good movie. Okay?
yeah.
We already touched on the stuff with Spider-Man, strutting down the street, which I don't care, is the most I've ever laughed. Rewatching it, that's probably
Oh,
the
it's
most I've laughed at a
hilarious,
movie watching. It is
and that's the
objectively
point
funny,
of it.
and
And
it's
that's the
meant to
point.
be. Yeah, exactly. And I've seen so
I
many videos where people are like putting this is like one of the superhero films ever, and they're like, oh, the Peter Parker dancing, it's so cringe. It's like, yes, it's the fucking point. I don't think people get that. Like, if something's cringe, it might just be on purpose. Like,
yeah.
it's not meant. But
I
there are actual
understand.
problems with this film, though. Like, there are
I
actual problems you
understand.
can levy against it, though. I will say that.
Yeah, I understand some of the criticisms. Like, I fully get it. Um,
There are
it
there are
does it
genuine
does juggle
problems with it.
it does juggle a lot of villains at once. It's
Yeah,
because
that's
that
where it
is a
goes
lot
wrong.
thanks to Avi Arad, which is one of the producers who wanted
Yeah,
Venom.
and
Like he
Sony
lobbied.
wanting to put fucking Venom in it, and Raimi's just like, I don't like Venom.
Yeah, and Raimi was like, I don't like Venom. I don't want to do Venom. He was gonna do like Mysterio, but yeah,
Which would have been Bruce Campbell, but yeah, Bruce Campbell is in all of these films as he is in every Sam Raimi film. And
I'll tick off some of the good bits though. I think Sandman, although the retconning I didn't really love, I think Sandman's
yeah,
handled
that's
quite
a
well
bit.
as a
I don't.
character. Like you
I
love
love
Sandman.
that final scene with him and Toby. That's again, mwah, beautiful scene. These films really work well at giving us emotional moments, like emotional catharsis.
Yeah,
Because
payoffs. Yeah,
Toby spends so much of the film wanting revenge, and the symbiote just accentuates that. And I love that at the end he forgives him because that's what Peter Parker does. Peter Parker is like a fairly infallible person. Like he just sees the good. He's like Captain America, He's just a
yeah,
nice person who sees the good in people, and wants to do the right thing, And that's why No Way Home works, is because he wants to help cure all the villains. He doesn't want to just send them back. He wants to cure them because that just makes sense with Spider-Man,
yeah,
and which is why that
yeah,
film works. But yeah. So yeah, Sandman, I think great villain. I do like though to talk about the villains. I like Topher Grace in this. I think he actually does a fairly good job. I just think the problem is they introduce him as Venom way too late into the film.
yeah,
He's not Venom for long enough. But it's because Sam Raimi does not like Venom. And I imagine it's because when Sam Raimi grew up with the comics, Venom wasn't a character, so he doesn't have you know, but you have stuff like Green Goblin and Doc Ock and Sandman and all that were sort of characters, sort of villains when he was reading the comics, so like as a kid. So I think that's why he loves those characters, and I think Vulture as well. So I can sort of get why. But man, we have not had like a good version of Venom because those Venom films
yeah.
I've heard are not good.
Have you not watched the Venom films?
No, I haven't. I should watch them because
No, the Venom films are really good. They're like okay, so the way the Venom films work, the first one not great, but really fun, and you sort of do like Venom. Like you're like, oh,
yeah.
this is kind of cringe. Like the whole Eminem Venom, 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 got bit with the Venom, Venom. Like, yeah, that song's
That's
a bit
I
like
love that song is so stupid, but I know like I ironically I love it. Like I
I
remember at
actually kind of
school
like it. Yeah,
for muck up day, people just printed out the lyrics on like set and were just handing them out to people in in our grade. That's like it's just like Venom,
yeah,
Venom.
but they know it like compared to like Morbius, for example.
Oh, Morbius is
The first
awful.
Venom film is
Morbius is
is
fucking shit.
The roof of the Sistine Chapel. It is a piece of resistance. It is like it is. It's really good compared to like other shit Sony has done with like films about their
Sony just
villains.
shouldn't be allowed to make movies, dude. Like they just don't.
How?
They can't.
Don't say that. What do you mean? They made the.
Well, okay, now like post Spider-Man 3, they can't make good movies without without Disney being involved. And
What?
Spider-Man 3 was
Okay.
the beginning of well, I mean, I guess Spider-Verse is
Do
probably
you know how many production companies are Sony picture movies?
I mean,
Like are
I did
owned by
think okay,
Sony.
generally I think Sony just it's very hard for Sony to make good Spider-Man. Spider-Verse is great, and I'll give them that. And I
Sony made Bullet
hopefully
Train, dude.
oh, for fuck's sake. Seriously, every episode you've been on, like however long,
Hey,
you always
I
bring
didn't
up
bring it
Bullet
up.
Train.
It was just Sony. Like they did make Bullet Train. I'm not
That's
like
man, we should. I wonder how many episodes we can go with you bringing up Bullet Train. Like it's insane how many episodes you've brought Bullet Train up. I
it's
wonder
just
how
because I
many
want you
episodes
to
we can.
watch it. it's,
Okay,
it's not even that good of a movie. Like it's okay.
yeah,
But I really like it. They
but yeah,
made
Spider-Man.
Pixels.
Oh, fucking Pixels is awful. Pixels is a terrible movie. But
Yeah.
when it Spider-Man 3, you were saying good things you like. You like Sandman. I think we agree Sandman's good. I do. I kind of like how they just sort of go in for the action early on with Harry because it's like there's no point in him delaying
Yeah,
it. Like
there's
he
no
becomes Goblin
dawdling,
at
like,
the
yeah.
end. He knows Peter. I think that's fair. I think that's fine. But then there's the amnesia, which
I
I
think it's
think
stupid.
it's such lazy writing. That's the problem.
Because
It
they
is
needed time
lazy
to set
writing.
up the symbiote and Venom, and I'm like, I understand that, but that's not like I genuinely think this film was written, completed, all the arcs were done, and then Avi
And
Arad
then
and Sony went put in Venom,
put in
and
Venom.
like we
Yeah,
want Venom, we want to sell
and
black
Raimi was
Venom
just
toys, like
and Raimi was just like, "Oh fuck, how do I do this? Because now I have to change all this now because Sam Raimi was actually he didn't write the first two films, but he wrote this one. And I guess he was just like, oh fuck. Well, I have to. So then that's honestly, it's set. It's really yeah. It's Sony's fault that this film is the way it is because he
yeah.
who wrote the oh David Kep wrote the first one. Wrote the first Spider-Man film. Who he did Jurassic Park. He wrote Jurassic Park. He's written what else? Yeah, he wrote Jurassic Park. Toy Soldiers. That's no, that's no Small Soldiers. The one I'm thinking of. But yeah, he wrote Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Panic Room, Indiana Jones 4, you know, and the new
This
Indiana Jones.
the
And then who wrote
screenplay
this?
of the second film was Sam Raimi and Alvin Sargent.
Huh? Who is Alvin Sargent? I
I've
feel like I've
heard of
heard of
him
him.
before.
I'm looking him
He
up.
he's done
Lots of Oscar-y films.
yeah, White Palette, like older sort of films. Hero, Bogus,
Yeah,
Spider-Man 3.
and he co-wrote The Amazing
He did The
Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, Spider-Man 3. I think, yeah. The problem with Spider-Man 3 is like there's just too there's just too much going on. That's the problem. There's too
Yeah,
much
and
going on in it. And
it's trying to juggle too many storylines. Like, if I genuinely think take Venom out of the film, it's a really good film.
oh yeah,
Take
no, Venom is the one bit you can. I think I also think because the symbiote comes from space, and I think the thing with that is that could have worked if because I think because the J. Jonah Jameson's kid is an astronaut, and that could have worked if he had like
yeah,
gone into space and found the symbiote there, and then that's how you set up the fourth film. Like that, I
yeah,
actually think that's a great way to set up the fourth film. He goes into space, he finds the symbiote, and he comes back, and that's Spider-Man 4. I
yeah,
know that Raimi probably wouldn't like that, but I do think that's actually a very great way to do that. Honestly, I think.
yeah. And not even just that. Like, yeah, it the way the symbiote gets there and everything is like that. You
I
can
mean,
pick apart this movie and be like, it juggles too many things. The way it handles the symbiote, I think it handles it really well when it's dealing with Peter. Like
I
the
just
whole the
realized I did
toxic,
not put a rating on Spider-Man 2. I give Spider-Man 2 a 9 out of 10.
yeah,
Just,
yeah,
but yeah, Spider-Man 3.
blasphemy. But yeah, yeah, no, he like the way they treat the symbiote's relationship with Peter and how like dependent they are. It's like it's almost a metaphor for drug abuse. Um,
Yeah.
but like it is really well done. I think. Like another good thing I think about this film. Oh, another good thing I think about it. Like genuinely a great moment in this film is
Hmm.
when Sandman reaches for the pendant, but he can't
Oh,
like
dude,
the
that
locket,
whole
and he can't
Sandman's
pick
like
it up.
birth is a phenomenal scene. One of the best scenes in the trilogy. It's like
Yeah, genuinely.
easily one of my favorite scenes in any Spider-Man film, but it's easily one of the best scenes in the trilogy. Like it is so. Oh, dude, the music again, the score is so fucking good. I love it, and like it's so beautiful. It's just so well crafted. It's like it's a great scene in a solid film. Like I do think the film is good. I just think it's clearly the weakest one in terms of how it's written. Like
Yeah,
it is flawed, but I still think it's a lot of fun. I
yeah.
really
I think it wraps up Harry sort of well. Like besides the whole amnesia bit, I think that they dealt with Sandman really well as well, with like a
Yeah,
lot of
I think.
respect for the
Yeah.
character.
Mm.
I fucking hate Topher Grace in this movie,
Oh,
which means he did a really
fucking
good job.
hell.
No, it
God.
means he did a really good job because I hate his character. Like I hate
Oh,
Eddie Brock in this
I thought
movie.
you meant you hated
No,
him
no,
as like
no, no.
uh
As like
performance.
his performance, no, his performance was really good because I fucking hated him. Like, um, the whole, the whole like, oh, that's my girlfriend when he's talking about Gwen up the building,
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
you
no,
do get.
I think he does a really great job, and I love. Yeah, he plays off Toby so well. He's just such a dick, but like it's great because you want to see him get his comeuppance, but you also feel kind of bad when Peter's being a dick as well. You know,
Yeah,
I think that's yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's yeah,
yeah.
I
There's not
really
much
like it.
there's not much to say about the third one as a wrap up.
Yeah,
Um,
Harry
he's done really
dies.
well. Yeah, Harry dies. His sacrifice is very beautiful. Um,
I do think that Toby cries again, and people just like, yeah, he cries. And I'm like, dude, I don't give a
his best
fuck.
friend just died. Like,
Yeah, I think it's okay to look like shit when you're crying. Like
yeah,
that is okay. I like just having the single tear roll down your cheek. Like fuck that shit. I'm fine with characters fucking sobbing, dude. Like that's cool. I'm fine with that because that makes sense. His best friend of however many years is fucking dead. You know.
yeah,
And it's always
but
him. It's always Toby who gets shit on for how he looks when he cries. And it's
yeah.
fucking bullshit. It's so dumb, dude. It's the
What
dumbest
about
shit.
Tom or Andrew? To be fair, they actually look quite good when they cry. Like they
Yeah,
don't
well,
ugly
because they're
cry.
not crying realistically. They've just got like the single. They've just got like the tear. They like the single tear rolling down their cheek. They're not like sobbing. They're not like shaking or anything. They're just sitting there. They just got tears slowly rolling down. But yeah, I like that Toby, that MJ and Peter, they get together at the end, and I love that in No Way Home we get sort of a bit more about that. I really love that, and
Mm.
I was gonna say something, but now I've forgotten it. Oh, this is actually a good segue. Actually, first of all, I'm gonna put my rating on. I give it a 7 out of 10.
Oh, my rating is yeah, give it an 8.
Oh, that's still pretty high. That's still quite good.
Yeah,
Um,
like it's the worst of the three, but I still kind of love
yeah,
it.
it,
So.
it is the worst of the three. Yeah. Now to sort of segue into in the next films, Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man 3, she does fuck all in it,
Mm.
and she's actually a character in the Amazing Spider-Man films, isn't she?
She's the one of the main characters.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, I said this before. Andrew Garfield is the best actor to have played Spider-Man. I think he's one of the best actors working right now. Honestly, I think Andrew Garfield, he's just one of those actors where I'm always wanting to see whatever he's making. Like he's always going to be
Yeah,
an actor where if I hear about a film he's in, I'll go see it because he's always great.
yeah.
Um okay. So yeah, amazing Spider-Man films. Got Gwen Stacy in this one. I don't yeah, so yeah, Andrew Garfield in that. Yeah, he's great. Emma Stone, I've never been blown away by her as an actress. Like she's
No,
always
she's never.
decent,
Yeah, she's
but
never really like had a performance that really like
yeah, I
made
know
me
people love
get up
her
out of my
in La La
chair.
Land. Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
love her in
I
La La
mean,
Land.
um, but I think she's all right in these films. I think her chemistry with Andrew Garfield. I
Incredibly
think that
likable too.
yeah, I think she's incredibly yeah. They've got incredibly great chemistry. They're really likable. They're very cute. Like I never found
Yeah,
MJ and Peter to be particularly cute. They were just sort of always arguing with each other. They were just like, "You're just not there for me," and he's like, "Oh well, when Spider-Man does this, it's like, oh dude, what the fuck." But this one, it feels, and maybe it's too cute. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's just too they're too nice. They don't like
Yeah.
they get, but I really like them. I really like their chemistry. And yes, they were dating in real life, which obviously adds a whole thing to it. Um, I mean, they're not together now, but they're apparently still good friends, which is always nice because you never want that to.
Mm.
And I think, I don't know if this is controversial, but I think she's more attractive than Kirsten Dunst in the Spider-Man films. That's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
me.
This is where I come in. I I agree. I think Gwen is the like not that it's important, but I think Emma
uh,
Stone's Gwen is the most attractive Spider-Man. But I like love interest. That being said, the reason I think Gwen for me works really well here is because she's not just a damsel in distress.
yeah, exactly. She gets
She
shit
feels
done.
like a character. She's not just like pity me, poor me. And I understand that Kirsten Dunst's MJ dealt with a lot of things like with trauma as a child and everything. But
They are very different characters. Like
yeah, but
Gwen is written as a yeah,
MJ
like a
feels in
son.
the first films a bit one dimensional.
Yeah, I mean, she most of what she does in those movies is she gets like saved like 7 times across the 3 movies. Like it's insane. Like
It's like
does
lock the door. Like, what are you doing? like,
yeah, like does Gwen get? I'm trying to remember. Does Gwen get rescued? Honestly, she gets like she helps Peter a lot. Like she helps make the fucking lizard serum or whatever the fuck it is. Like
yeah,
she
the
make
anti serum.
yeah she helps kill Electro, which is a bit much. Like just a little bit much. But
Yeah,
she's a character, and I think I really like Gwen in it. Like I like the character. I think I don't know if it's not amazing acting from Emma Stone, but she's
I think
fairly
it's
decent. And I think
amazing from Emma Stone, but I think from Andrew Garfield, I think he is amazing.
yeah, I think the thing is as well is Gwen, I find her to be inherently more likable than MJ. Like I think
Yeah,
MJ is a very selfish at times unlikable character, but I think Gwen is really likable. Like she's like the kind of girlfriend that we should all aspire for, like that we should
yeah,
hope we can get a girlfriend as nice as her, because she is really nice, she's really funny as well, but like she's like really when she's talking to when she's got Peter in her room and she's trying to send her dad away, she's like, I don't want hot chocolate, it's fattening, and she's like,
yeah,
and unrealistic, and I'm like, that's
yeah.
funny, like that's good, I like that. But I think that yeah, I mean, yeah, I really don't think Andrew Garfield. I think he's good in these movies, but I really love him in No Way Home. Like that's where his character becomes.
Peter number 3. Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's where he becomes Spider-Man for me. But these two films, I feel like he doesn't work as well.
I
Like he's good.
disagree.
I think okay then. I don't. To be fair, the Raimi films did this as well, but I do think yeah, his whole vengeance thing for Uncle Ben, they do that with the Raimi film, but it's with one guy. But in these ones,
Yeah.
it's just Peter going around beating the shit out of random fucking people. I don't like that part of it. I'm fine to keep it if he like chases after that guy and the guy die and he accidentally kills the guy, whatever. I think that's cool. I think that's totally fine, and I think that works. But just going out to look for people to beat the shit out of feels wrong.
No,
Like it,
I
I
I
don't
see it
like it as much.
differently.
All
I
right.
think Andrew Garfield in the first film,
Mm-hmm.
Andrew obviously loses his like Uncle Ben, but I
Yep.
think his Uncle Ben like is. I like his Uncle Ben more than I liked the original Uncle Ben, like in the Sam Raimi movies.
Oh, I don't know about
Okay,
that.
there's a reason for it.
Okay.
You actually see some of like Peter in the Sam Raimi movies. Peter, even though Ben
Mm-hmm.
like dies pretty early on, Peter
Mm-hmm.
always feels closer to Aunt May. Whereas in this one, Peter feels much more distant from Aunt May and always felt like he had the relationship with his Uncle Ben. Like this one feels like this one had for me a distinctly more sort of like father-son relationship between the two, where they're downstairs in the basement sorting out the flooding, and
Yeah, there's not a
and
whole lot of Peter with Ben in those Raimi
in the
films.
same yeah no, there isn't really. Like you get little bits where it's like um where they have like little bits of dialogue exchange. But the first film for me, I think, did Ben as a character really well. I don't like the way he says, "With great power comes great responsibility." It's
Yeah,
like
that feels
the
really
way
bad. I don't like that
the
at all.
way he says it. I'm like, that's just phrased very poorly. But
I do though. In Spider-Man 2, I do love the scene with Pete and his uncle Ben where he's like, I'm Spider-Man no more." And I'm like, that's a great scene. I
oh
really love that
yeah,
scene in Spider-Man 2. And I
yeah,
don't
the post death scenes of like the after Ben dies, the scene with Peter and Ben, like the chemistry with Peter and Ben in in amazing in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies becomes much more
Mhm.
fleshed out and developed with the whole "I'm Spider-Man no more, I can't do it." Those are great scenes, but that character has
Yeah.
already passed.
Mm.
Like
There's nothing
whereas
new there's nothing, yeah, that this
well,
character
whereas in
can.
this one, you've got to sort of understand the context of the time. It's like what 2011, 2012. So it's very much Twilight era of movies. Angst, teen angst is all the rage. That's why they got Mark Webb.
Yeah.
Um, which I
Directed one of
love
your
Mark
favorite
Webb.
films. Yeah, 'cause that's
Yeah,
what I was gonna tell you.
500 Days of Summer, which I think is an amazing film, and I think I
I need
really
to
like
watch that
Mark
again,
Webb.
honestly, because I wanna watch that again because I don't remember it too much.
Yeah, I think I just like Joseph Gordon-Levitt a lot. I like Zoe Deschanel, but um,
Yeah,
yeah,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is great.
yeah, I love him. And yeah, I think when it comes to the whole crime fighting Spider-Man, you know how you've got the rough cut of the suit, and he's going around. He's looking for the Ben's killer.
Yeah,
That's he's not beating them up for the sake of beating them up. He's beating them up because they're bad people, like they're
yeah.
criminals. But he's also
He's not really
like
stopping them
looking.
either, though. He's just sort of
Yeah,
checking,
he
like,
is. He checks and
I
then
mean, he
stuff like, and then every time the police rock up straight after him.
mm. I
Like
mean, there is like, when
it
he first
shows in the bit
becomes
where he's
yeah.
in the car, like you know the carjacker, and he's in the car waiting in the car. That was awesome because that's like the first bit of Spider-Man you get to see where he's like really quippy, and that's where I come in. When people say Andrew's the best Spider-Man, Toby's the best Peter, blah blah blah. I think
Mhm.
Toby is a really good all rounder, but I think
Yeah.
Andrew's Spider Man is fucking phenomenal. Tom's is okay. Tom's is quippy and everything, but he's not funny quippy. He's Marvel quippy.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. I think
Whereas Andrew is
yeah.
genuinely like I genuinely laugh out loud when I watch these movies.
I know a lot of people didn't like Andrew Garfield because he's too hot, and I'm like, I mean, but you don't hear that shit about Tom Holland, do you? Like everyone's like, "Oh, Tobey Maguire looks too nerdy." I'm like, he's a the fuck do you mean? He's literally a nerd. Like
Toby's gorgeous. Also, Toby, like, you've seen early photos of Toby with young Leonardo DiCaprio. They are
yeah,
gorgeous young men. Like, what are you saying? That he
and
wasn't
I
high
don't.
because he looked nerdy. He is an arguably like he was an attractive Spider-Man. Not that we should be caring about how hot Peter Parkers are anyway.
I
But
mean, I don't think it really matters. I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's a nerd, so he must be unattractive." And it's like, what the fuck do you mean? Nerds can be
how
fucking
does he?
hot, dude.
It's like also how would he
What?
land a girl like MJ or Gwen? I understand personality plays importance, but you've also got to be some level of attracted to him. Like,
I mean, he's gotta be kind of hot at least. And like Andrew is, yeah, very attractive, and I don't think that's a valid criticism to make of because even in the comics, like Spider Man, a lot of the version is like still fairly good looking. You know, I really don't think it matters if Spider Man is attractive or not. You know, I
yeah,
don't think it should play a part in it. I just yeah, I know a lot of people who I think yeah who don't love Andrew's Spider-Man, and I'm like, I think he works as Spider-Man, but I think No Way Home really cemented him as like the best Peter Parker. You know, sort of the best all-rounder. I think I because I kind of feel like in these films he doesn't work as well. Um, I mean, I'm not. I don't think I'm saying anything controversial by saying I don't love these Amazing Spider-Man films. I don't think that is
Yeah, I
controversial.
do. You know what's weird is I do love these movies.
Oh fucking hell!
I really
Damn it!
like
I know.
them. Like
I knew you were gonna like these more than me. This is gonna be
it,
fun.
it just happens that I'm a Spider-Man fan that I like Spider-Man content. Not, I don't think they stand on the same podium as Sam Raimi's films, but I think they're far better than the MCU ones. I
Mm-hmm.
think and I think I can't explain really why. It's more the sort of it's the respect it gives to Spider-Man in these movies. It's the way Spider-Man is handled. It's the interaction he has with the young boy that's trying to be Spider-Man. Like every bit, he feels like Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
He, the in this film, yes, are the villains handled poorly? I think so, but I like the Lizard. Yeah, maybe is the yeah, we're New Yorkers. Let's help out Spider Man because we're New Yorkers. Go New York number one. And I'm like, maybe those bits are a bit cringe.
I mean,
Okay,
those are in the Raimi films as well. Raimi has those moments as well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but the whole like, let's take the first film for example. Spider Man. You've got Andrew Garfield Spider Man. It's the origin story. We've seen it a million, like we know it. But
Yeah. It does kind
the,
of retread at the first film again in terms of
my
not
the
a lot of it. Yeah.
in the first film, the worst part of them. There's only really two bad bits in this movie. I think there's
Okay.
two negatives. The
Okay.
first is the way the lizard sort of looks like one of the Goombas from the original Mario movie, like the live action one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I don't like
which
that.
like
I wish he looked more like he had like a snout. You know, he had like a lot.
yeah,
Instead of having sort of a flat face, I wish he had like yeah.
that and the whole subplot of spy parents, I don't care. Like I just don't care. Because it sort of takes away from the whole idea that anyone could be Spider-Man. Um,
Mm.
like it gives it like a predetermined fate that like they were working on some secret super spider
Yeah.
project,
I don't like
and I'm
that.
like,
I really
and I'm
don't
like,
care for that.
I just don't care for it. Like it
That just
whether they'll
that feels like that goes against what Spider-Man is as a character. Like
yeah.
it's literally just any fucking person could be Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah, but I just take that sort of out of the movie when I watch it. Like I just like because they never wrap it up. They just like have it there, and I'm like, okay, well, it's a plot thread that maybe it adds like an extra 2 to 3 minutes to the film, and I really
Yeah.
don't care. Like I just get over it. Like
Yeah.
for
I
me,
think
I just ignore it.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think yeah, I don't I mean to sort of talk about both of these films, I really don't like the way it really over romanticizes and talks about Peter's parents. Like I really don't think that's necessary. I think because in the Raimi films, do we even hear about Peter's parents? Like I don't think
No,
we
Peter's
do,
Peter's parents are pretty much just May and Ben.
and I think that's fine. I don't think it matters. I think it's not like his character is sort of that can like it's not like Batman where his origin is
His
related to
parents.
his parents.
Whereas
Um
Spider-Man's origin's related to his uncle. Like, so it
exactly,
should be
that's the
more
difference.
important that you focus on them. Yeah.
Exactly. And the kid and the parents who gives a fuck because they are not relevant to his character, you know, in a way that yeah, his the parents are relevant for Batman, you know, or Superman or you know, instead of other characters like that. I think it's fine to just have it be about his aunt and uncle because those are the people that matter more, you know. Um so I don't like that, and I mean, yeah, I just don't like. Overall, I think these are bad films. I think it's a shame because he could have been great, you know, amazing, dare I say.
Yeah.
I
You
just think,
are amazing.
yeah, I think just like sort of overall, because I don't have as much to say about these films either. Like, I really just
A
don't
little
think
bit.
there's a lot. I mean, I don't think Amazing Spider-Man 2 is as awful as a lot of people say. Like, I don't think it's good. I think it is a bad movie.
Amazing
but
Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man suit we've seen on screen, besides the little snippet at the end of No Way Home, I think. That's something I'll give Spider-Man the
uh,
Amazing TASM to.
yeah, his
The
suit in the first
suit,
Amazing Spider-Man looks like shit though.
but in the second one,
In the
oh
second
my
one, it
god.
does look really great. And to be honest, that suit got my biggest reaction from No Way Home.
Yeah.
Like when he and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, because I'd heard that Andrew and Toby were in it, like everyone was like, oh, they're in it, but I'd heard it like confirmed by someone I knew, and I was like, shit, that sucks. But
Yeah,
I
I didn't get
just,
that spoiled for me, which was lucky.
but yeah, and well, because they live overseas, so they saw it like a day before, like they saw it.
In the second, so I'd say to wrap up the first Amazing Spider-Man film,
Yeah.
the I still love this film. Like I genuinely love watching it. It's for me, it's really
Okay.
fun. It's really I really actually don't hate the lizard's like character. Like I think he looks a
I
bit
don't
funny,
mind the
but
lizard as much as some. I just hate the
this
design. The design is awful. I don't think it's a good design.
the
But
scene of like Peter creating the web shooters in his room, I think that's so sick. Where he's like making the web fluid, and he's like,
oh, that's a
"This is
nice,
so
really charming
cool."
scene.
When he sets up the camera in the sewers and stuff, and I'm like, "This guy's fucking
Oh, that's so
genius."
dumb though because he's written his fucking name on it. Like that's
Yeah,
I like
I
that
know,
is really stupid.
but I think I think he grabbed like he. I don't think he wrote his name on it when he was doing the whole setup. I think it's just his camera that happened to
No,
have his
but
name
I
on it.
just think you should consider that before you leave it around. But
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, definitely, yeah. But I still
ooh,
love that scene. The whole using the webs as like vibration to tell which one's which. Like, oh my
oh,
god,
that's
that's
I really
so
love that.
sick.
I think that is genius. It's like that is that. I mean, that's just what spiders do. Brilliant. I love it.
Yeah,
It's
I think that it's his suit. Like, I don't know. The whole relationship with Gwen feels like really authentic, but
yeah, no,
um,
I think it's the best of like the sort of the three main relationships. Like they work off really well together. I
I
just
think Uncle Ben is what Uncle Ben's supposed to be when he's like talking to Peter at the school and he sees Gwen and he's like, he's got a photo of you on his computer screen, like, haha, stuff like that. Where
I
it's like,
mean
yeah,
that is pretty. I mean that'd be
that's
pretty
what it should be.
concerning.
No, but it's like that's it's remember it is his father figure, but at the same time, it's like he wants to like it's his uncle, like
I
that.
mean, to be fair,
And
I'd really do that if I had a kid. I'd be like, I would do everything to embarrass them because I just think that'd be funny.
yeah, I think I don't know. I think it gets too much like hate because of certain bad things about it. That being said, the whole idea to like Gwen's father dying and everything, I'm
Mhm.
okay with because like I never really cared about Gwen's
No,
dad. I
I don't
think
give a shit about his
I
father
think there's
dying. Her
the
father
dinner
dying.
scene. I think at the dinner scene it's all good. What annoys me, and this transfers into the second movie,
Yeah, nice
um,
transition.
yeah, nice transition, is when when he requests of Peter that like stay away from her, keep her safe, and and Andrew's like Peter goes like, yeah, like no, I won't, blah, blah, blah. And then like the next movie they're just together, and I'm like, ah, oh, okay, so the radio, but and then I want to go through this sort of quickly because again, there's not a whole lot to talk about with these two films. In
Yeah,
the second
I mean we've
film, oh well,
recorded for a while as well. Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah.
to rate rate the first film, I give it a 7.5, maybe 8. I really like it.
Oh,
Seven,
okay.
seven.
I
What
give
about
it a
you?
6.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I don't think it's a
I th-
terrible film. I like it's perfectly watchable. I just don't think it's amazing. Personally, yeah, really.
I think the second film is a bit less amazing. I think that Harry being
Yeah.
the not the Green Goblin but the Hobgoblin or whatever is
Ugh, that's so,
is
that's
just unfortunate because I think Dane DeHaan can be a good actor. He's just not a good Harry Osborn.
no. I don't like the whole like. Hey, Harry and Peter were always friends. It's like the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I
Like
don't
that's
love ugly Jamie Foxx either.
oh, dude, his teeth getting fucking fixed by those eels is so stupid.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen more of Paul Giamatti's the Rhino instead of the one little
Oh,
bit that
dude,
he got.
I hate that they had the final shot of the film in the trailer, like where he's like swinging and he's swinging like the sewer grate to the rhino's face. Like
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
in the
the
trailer.
manhole
That's so,
cover. Yeah.
and they sort of gave away in the trailer that Gwen died. But I mean, to be fair, doesn't it kind of make sense though? Like fucking Gwen dies in the comics. Like that's a big thing. I don't. It's hard to put Gwen in Spider-Man movies because all I'm gonna be thinking about is like, oh, she's just gonna die because that's just yeah, she's gonna die.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is sort of somewhat predictable, but I don't think that makes it any less like the way she dies is still sort of heartbreaking. Um, like I remember watching it and thinking, "Fucking oof!" Like to be like you weren't good enough to save her is a moment that is like a lot. And it is sort of your fault considering like her dad said you're gonna get her killed. Like don't be
Yeah,
with her. Um, like, and it is sort of a tragedy that we don't really see him recover from, really, except for the moment where he's talking to the young boy and he
yeah,
feels like Spider Man, or when he's brothering fucking Tom Holland or whatever. I'm like, that's what he needs. I feel like this Andrew would work such well as like a fatherly or a brothery sort of figure, or even an Uncle Ben to a character, a young, culturally diverse character, um,
hmm
a young half. Is he half Spanish or is it half Latin?
Who? Sorry.
Miles Morales. His mother is,
Yeah, Hispanic, I believe.
yeah,
And his dad is African American. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So culturally diverse character.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think again, ugly Jamie Foxx. Eh, yeah, I
I
actually
don't
kind of like
think.
I like Electro, but I feel weird about saying that when like a lot of people hate him. I think the worst part of the movie is Harry Osborn, but those are the bits that I'm just like, oh, I don't really
Yeah,
care for.
I think I don't think Jamie Foxx is an amazing actor. Like I've seen him do good work, but
Ray, Ray Charles
uh,
and stuff.
I haven't seen that. But yeah, Collateral, I think he's great in Collateral. I really like him in Django Unchained. Actually, I think he's really good in that.
Yeah, I like him in yeah, I like him in the movie Ray where he plays Ray Charles.
Yeah.
He's is he not in Baby Driver? Yeah, Baby Driver. I
Oh,
like
he's in
him.
Baby Driver. Yeah, yeah, he's alright in Baby Driver, but
And
that's not
I
really.
like his Electro. Like I like his Electro in No Way Home way more than I like his Electro
Yeah, his
in
Electro's
this.
alright in there because pick her. They were like they just make a ton of changes to him, and just like he's no longer a blue guy. He's like looks human. Yeah, I really just don't have as much to say about this film. Like it's not great, but it's like yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. That's simply put. I think it is the worst. I think it is the worst Spider-Man film that has been made. Um,
Mm, I disagree, mate.
you well, we'll
I
find
disagree.
out more next week. Ooh, that's a little hint for next week. But I just don't have as much to say about it. They were setting up the Sinister Six, which I like the Sinister Six as a concept, but just having a room full of like Doc Ock's arms and Hangman and the glider and all that,
Vultures, yeah.
Vulture's wings and the Rhino. The Rhino suit is fine because we sort of
Scorpio
established
tail,
because
like
he could, yeah, but I don't like that. I don't like this movie. I really like, and I just don't like it. It's not a good movie in my
all
mind.
right, all right, all right. Let's just rate it. Let's just rate it.
Um, I give it a 4 out of 10.
Okay. Okay.
What do
I give
you
it
give
a
it?
I give it like a 6.75 or like a 6.5. Six and
Right.
three quarters, sort of like I don't think it's a 7, but I don't think it's a 6, and I think it's a little bit better than a 6.5.
Okay. Okay.
Like that's the vibe I get off it. I really, but like we're gonna get to Far From Home, and when we get there,
Yeah,
yeah,
this is when you're gonna be. That's when you're gonna. Yeah, that's next week. Um. So thank you for joining me for this one. Thank you for joining me for this one, Harry.
not
This
a
was
problem.
very long recording, but there's a lot of films, and we had a lot to talk about. Next week is also going to be probably a very long one because we're going to be talking about the Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man films as well as Into the Spider-Verse. Now, I've already done an episode specifically on Into the Spider-Verse, so I've already given my thoughts on that, but we'll still touch on it because Harry hasn't talked about it, and and Harry will be back next week, and then next week is when Harry's going to be getting really not happy because we're talking about the Tom Holland ones, and as you may have heard
Not
already,
all the Tom Holland
Harry's
ones,
not
just
a
one or
fan.
two of them.
Oh, one or two of. Well, he's only made three, so
Well, no, we can't. We when we're going to be talking about it, we're also going to talk about like him in Civil War, him in
yeah,
Endgame,
we'll
and
touch on
Infinity
his
War.
stuff in the other MCU films, but it's mainly about his like. So,
Yeah,
well, I
yeah.
say solo films. I
They're
don't know if
Iron
they.
Man movies with a little bit of Spider-Man in them. Like,
But that's what we're going to be doing next week. So look forward to that. And then I don't know if I'll have an episode out the week after that, but I've got a lot of good stuff planned. New Indiana Jones, I'm going to do that. Mission Impossible, there's a new one of those. Going to be doing all kinds of stuff upcoming soon because lots of big films are coming out. But yeah, this is tying into Cross the Spider-Verse, which I'm really looking forward to. So I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode. Check out all the previous ones. Check out the Facebook and Instagram pages if you want. You don't have to, but it'd be cool if you did. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.